explain it. Before I went to college, in a strange way, you're Jack T lad, because you're the best one at music at your school, you're the best one at your music teachers. You know, you used to win a few festivals and things like that. You were sort of Jack T lad. And when you arrive at college, you suddenly come across 249 other people who've come in for the first year, who are all as good, or say half are as good, if not better. And I suddenly realised that there are a load of people that were better, and the chances that they've got of making it are slim. So I thought, what chance have I got?
He was born at 25 to 6 on the morning of the 18th of May, 1949. The nurse said he was a very long baby, and in all probability would grow up very tall.
You can see he's no different to anybody else there. I don't think he is now, not really, deep down. He was a very lovable and friendly little boy. He was always surrounded by friends, wasn't he?
Leader.
That's in the garden, Tatum, here. That's in his spacesuit one Christmas.
Yes, I always say, you know, space oddity, you know.
He wanted this spacesuit, and his grandfather bought it for him. And funny enough, the first record we ever heard him on was Space Odyssey, or Oddity, David Bowie. I'll be very truthful, except that other people bring it to our notice. He's no different to what he, you know, we just sort of think of him, I still think of him as Richard. I mean, although I know his name's Rick Wakeman now, I never call him anything but Richard, and it doesn't really wash over me that he's what he is.
At 26, Rick Wakeman is the latest rock star to be deified by Ken Russell. He's Thor, the god of thunder, in Russell's latest film, Listomania. This startling success story really began in 1970 with an article in Melody Maker. He just joined a folk band called the Strawbs and began to use a whole range of keyboard instruments which were virtually unknown in popular music. He became the focal point of the band. Soon after that, he joined Yes, already a very successful rock group, but when Wakeman joined, they moved into the millionaire superstar bracket, and yet again he was getting the best reviews. He left Yes in 1974 to begin a solo career, and having failed to become a concert pianist, he was now in a position to hire an entire orchestra to realise his own grandiose themes. It was an ambitious gamble, but it seemed to pay off. All his albums became bestsellers, culminating in his current LP, The Myths and Legends of King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. Our story begins here. It is early morning. Rick is asleep. He dreams of performing his album, King Arthur, on the rocks at Tintagel Castle. It is an impossible dream.
I know it could be done. Definitely could be done on the rocks at Tintagel. Definitely possible. Must be possible. Must be. A lot of confusion amongst the books as to whether people like Merlin existed, Lancelot existed. One of the books that I read said that Guinevere translated into English meant Lady of the Moment. So literally whoever he had, you know, for the evening, I suppose he called Guinevere. Was Galahad Lancelot's bastard son? You know, all this sort of, you know, you don't know whether he was or not. When you're writing something, if you can do something that can capture people's imaginations so that when they heard the music, they could almost make up their own ideas and make up their own stories. And I think people, even subconsciously, like to do this. I mean, I like to do it. So what I did, I picked out the characters that I thought were really interesting, you know, and took the stories almost that I found the most interesting, the most colourful to write to. lovely summer's day in Devon, it is now my great pleasure to introduce you to the other members of the Wakeman household. This is Oliver. You like to say hello, Oliver? Ah. That's Oliver. And the one picking my wife's nose is Adam. Is Adam. And the one who's having her nose picked is my dear wife. The other members of the entourage who spend a lot of time with us, we have the girl who makes the tea. Vivian! This is Vivian who makes the tea. Very good tea maker. And because her tea's so bad, we bring in Fred, who's our toy manager. Fred! This is the world famous funky fat Fred Randall. And that's about the size of the family, really.
How was the success you got to your family?
Well, they haven't had me yet.
Amid this domestic scene, Rick is hard at work, adapting Franz Liszt's music for Ken Russell's film.
The opening is very bizarre. It was one of the first things I saw when I went down to Shepperton. And obviously, this is the opening shot of the film. It's got to be somehow... You've got to create that mood in the opening scene to let people know what they're in for. It's meant to almost make people think it's the wrong music for that bit. I mean, confusion can sometimes really capture people's attention. And that's the whole object of the thing. It starts off very seriously. Then the Count comes in and catches them. And then they have this sort of bizarre sword fight. I was looking at it and I thought, what doesn't go with a sword fight? What would be the most illogical thing to put with a sword fight? And I thought, a barn dance.
Just do one little favour. Do me a favour. He doesn't know you like I know you, and the fact that you'd much rather record the soundtrack down here.
It's not really where we record. I don't give a toss where we record. It's just a matter of trying to get something done. I mean, you know, when we were down at Shepperton, it was a shambles because we couldn't get hardly anything done. I came down here for a week and I got more work done, took it all back and recorded it. It's the same thing I wanted to do down here. We come down here, I've done more work down here in the last week than I'd ever do down
But they got £1 million tied up in the picture, and they're a little bit nervous, and they would like to feel, Ken Russell especially, very nice guy, Ken.
Unfortunately, with the music industry, you have to work pretty much to a schedule. I know, I agree. I mean, Derek, really nice night, and it's important to do, I know. Even though you plan things out a year ahead in advance, or 2 years ahead in advance, other things often crop up, which means that they've got to be fitted in at the same time. And sometimes that can be either really tiring or sometimes absolutely impossible because you just can't be in two places at once. And then you get people, say, from the one that you haven't managed to turn up to, hustling you, and it builds up and it overlaps into something else. And you never actually quite seem to have your life sorted out. Very, very soon you're going to have to go and work and look after Daddy. You know that, don't you? Because Mummy and Adam spend all Daddy's money. So you've got to go and earn lots of money to keep Daddy. You want to pick some flowers? Or do you think you can sell them and make some money? Who are they for? I'll hold them, you pick them.
Rick had been under a lot of strain. We had to stop filming.
Driving me crackers. I've just got too much to do. I've got too much.
Well, the doctor's still with him now. It doesn't look as though he'll be out to work today. Possibly tonight.
I need to get away. And my goldfish, they're not well at all. And it's just very impossible with cough.
Sorry, not today. He's having his teeth fixed in there. Rick's having his haircut at the moment. Doctor says he's okay. He's got to take a couple of days rest. Rick suggests you might go and see Dan Wooding. He can help you on a few things that you might want to know. Okay? Dan Wooding? He's writing a book on Rick's life.
This is where the Rick Wakeman story started for me, the musical bargain centre here in South Ealing Road. I was working as a reporter for the local paper, and I'd just been given this district to do, and I'd been told that there were no stories in this district. And the first stop up was this shop here, the Musical Bargain Centre. It was at the Musical Bargain Centre in 1969 that Rick first met two men who helped to launch him on the road to fame. Dave Sims, who got him his first gig, and Uncle Ernie, who loaned him his organ. And then just in here is the actual organ which Rick first played on, which belonged to Uncle Ernie. He used to serve the coffee in here. And maybe we could get a shot of that historic organ as well.
Hello.
Great. It's a sort of nostalgic visit for me because I'm writing a book about Rick. And I know Rick now has sort of fantastic equipment, but his very first organ was in fact your organ.
Well, he used to borrow my wife's organ, actually. I bought my wife a Vox single manual, and he came to me one day in the shop and he said, I've got a gig this afternoon, can I borrow the organ? And he just picked it up with the legs on it complete and put it in the back of the car and drove away to do the gig. And because he never had one of his own.
Yeah.
We enjoyed him staying with us when he did, but we all knew that it wouldn't be long, and we made the most of it while he was with us. And the greatest thing for me has been to see him go on and on and on and get the credit for just super talent.
This is the Royal College of Music in London, where Rick Wakeman came with such high ambitions to become a top-ranked concert pianist. But his ambition was rudely shattered just 12 months later, when in fact he didn't play in the Royal Albert Hall, which is opposite this building, but instead he finished up as a resident pianist in the top-ranked ballroom in Reading. His first year at the Royal College of Music was a rewarding, if somewhat bewildering, experience. All the elements of his previous musical training began to fall into place like a giant jigsaw puzzle. By the second year, however, his enthusiasm for the college had waned a little, but the college staff hadn't quite given up. One teacher he got on well with was Professor Basil Tchaikov, his clarinet tutor. Professor Tchaikov, hello, sorry to bother you. It's about the Rick Wakeman book. I wonder if you could tell me a little bit about what sort of student he was.
Well, thinking back, he was rather a conventional student. There was nothing exceptional about him. Of course, the clarinet was his second instrument, so I didn't expect anything marvellous, but he worked very consistently. And gradually became apparent that he was interested in the pop and more at that time, I think, in the jazz world. And then towards the end of the first year, we talked about the fact that he was working with a group, that he was going to go. And, you know, I never thought any more after that. This is something that happens not infrequently. And it came something as a surprise to see that rather exotic image which he now projects. You know, that's all the pictures you get on the front of his what do you call them? Record sleeves. Yes. We've finished. We've had enough. Fine. Okay, let's go back and see if we can get this bit again. Okay? 2, 3.
I don't know. I just hoped he'd stick out the 3 years there. I did hope that he'd have some letters after his name, you know. And I must say, when my husband rang up and said one day from the office and said, I've got Richard here, he's walked out of the Royal College. When he'd finished talking, I must confess, I sat down and cried nearly all day.
How do I feel? I feel a new man. There comes a period of time, I think, where you have to own up to certain things, and you have to be brave about certain things. I mean, actually modelled the Great Northern Cemetery in New Southgate on my teeth. It was like a graveyard. You know, it was just like an ashtray full of dog ends. It was really terrible. And I just didn't have the nerve. Well, first of all, I didn't have the money at first, but then I didn't have the nerve to have it done. didn't have the nerve to have it, didn't have, forget it. And I eventually plucked up courage and went along, and they did my teeth. And at the same time I thought, right, my hair had been getting really knotty. I liked my hair when it was long. Don't laugh. I liked my hair when it was long, but it was becoming too long and it was getting very knotty, and it took about an hour to comb all the knots out. It was ridiculous, so I thought I'd chop a lot off.
What about the weight and the booze?
Well, the booze I cut down on a lot. I mean, I never used to drink that much anyway, really. No. I enjoy a drink, you know. I don't go out every night on my own and get merrily drunk or anything. I like going out with the lads, say, a couple of times a week, or going out with people I know. But I don't go out on my own. I would never go out on my own and drink or anything. It would bore me stiff.
I mean, you did drink a lot, didn't you?
No, not really. I spilt most of it. Didn't drink that much, really, no. I mean, you can ask any of the lads, they'll tell you that
Hodgie?
What?
Did he drink a lot?
Oh, no. Never. Never passed his lips.
Ashley?
No, I can honestly say he didn't drink that much.
Gave most of it away.
He bought a lot of drinks for me to keep my mouth.
Well, it was suggested that Rick had a drinking problem, but Rick has no problems drinking at all.
Yeah, that's true. You have, despite all the jokes we've had, you are actually pushing yourself very hard. You do have a heart complaint of sorts, and do you worry about your health? I mean, you are actually. Do you feel at times you do push it too hard?
No. Yeah. Well, yes and no, because if things do get really over the top and I really do feel ill, and when I get to the stage where I really feel rotten and just can't do anything, and I'm no good to anybody at that period of time, then I will stop for a bit. And it's only this year actually that I've had to do that. I've had to stop about 3 times for about 3 or 4 days, which I've never had to do for the past 4 or 5 years. But I'm getting old, you see. I'm not a well man anymore. I'm not a young man anymore. I'm getting on.
1, 2, 3, 4. When you've explored everything you can find within a certain keyboard, the thing you want to do is go further and find something else. So subsequently, the whole thing keeps growing. I went on to church organ when I was about 13. When I was at school, they had one fitted in at the school, and I started having lessons on that. Still keeping up piano, of course. I then bought myself a little electric piano and Vox AC30 amp, and it sort of built up from there. It's almost like buying your first car. As you earn a bit more money, you save up, you see the next model that you'd really like to have. And it really literally builds up like that. When you're going around playing on the stage, for example, there's a certain amount that is very mechanical without you realising it. You find yourself automatically in the breaks, sort of setting for the next thing that you're going to use. You know, if you're just playing with one hand for one bit, you're using your other hand to set something. Or you suddenly find yourself literally facing the right instrument at the right time. There's a certain amount of mechanics, such as driving a car. It's governed by the conditions of literally the road you're driving in, or how well things are going. Moog must be one of the cleverest advances of any instrument. It enables a musician who's not capable of playing, say, hundreds of instruments, to explore many, many different tonal qualities and different colour sounds with a limited experience of a keyboard. It's almost like building your own orchestra, really.